Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Bad for Your Health Entertainment. I am Tom, and history has been made. In the entire 3.5-year run of Bad for Your Health Entertainment, I have never done a show on a Tuesday. So I want to thank everyone who is watching and who is going to watch. This show tonight, I am joined once again by my good friend, Mr. James Pascoe. James, how's it going?
It's going great, thank you. Hi, everybody.
If only the world could have seen the last half-hour pregame. That's all we can say.
I know we left it all on the practice field. Hopefully,
oh my God, we left it all on the practice field. There's nothing left. We're going to be the Chicago White Sox this episode. Hey, they split with the Red
Sox this year.
Say that again.
The Red Sox aren't doing too well this year, are they?
They're hanging. They're at that 500 stage, and they split with the White Sox, who are now 17-47. But tonight, James, we are talking about Azrael. Long time coming. We've alluded to some things of Azrael in our very, very first conversation we had back in April of 2003. But now it's time to dive in as best as we can. We got to fire up the brain cells and things like that. So I'll start at the very beginning, not of your comic career. But what was your first exposure to Azrael? Was it sort of Azrael? Because Azrael was created by Denny O'Neil and Joe Quesada. Were you familiar with the character?
I was familiar with the character. The Sword of Azrael miniseries was my first introduction to the character, and actually everyone's first introduction to the character, really.
Yeah.
But that was and remains one of my all-time favorite miniseries by anybody ever.
Really?
So, yeah.
Wow. That's high praise, man.
Yeah. I mean, Denny was, he was, I don't know if you could say at his peak, but he was, writing really well. And that was Joe Quesada's, I think, was that his first big job, or maybe he did some X Factor first? I don't remember.
I think he did some X Factor first. I'm not big on his whole timeline, but Sword of Azrael fires on all cylinders.
Yeah, it really does. And when you add in Kevin Nolan, who I think is one of the great artists in comics history, you just had a winning formula. So yeah, I loved that miniseries.
How was Azrael brought to you in your young career?
How was it brought to me as something to work on?
Yes.
Well, shortly before then, I had pretty much got my big break by working in the Malibu Ultraverse. And
Prototype.
Prototype, and a book called Wrath also. And some editors at DC saw my work there and liked it. And they said, how would you like to, come work for us? And I thought that was a really fine idea. And so I worked for a while on a book called Legion, which transformed into another title called Rebels, which was another version of Legion. And based on that, I got a call one day from, one of my all-time comics heroes, Archie Goodwin, who, was just great writer, great editor, great guy. Everybody loved Archie.
One of the good guys.
One of the really, really good guys, yes.
I've heard nothing but good things about Archie Goodwin.
And I don't think you ever would hear anything different from anybody. He was just that kind of guy. And he said, he was interested in seeing how I would work together, with the artist Barry Kitson, who I had never worked with before or previously.
Fantastic artist, though, Barry Kitson.
Yes, fantastic artist. Really, really dedicated to his craft. I've always had the utmost respect for that about him. And so he said, how would you like to do an issue of Adventures of Superman with Barry? And I said, oh, I'd love to. Yeah, it'd be great. So we did, and it worked out pretty well for all concerned, I think. And next thing I know, he's calling me up and saying, how would you like to work on, Marvel and DC were doing a crossover title with Batman and the Punisher. And Marvel did one issue and DC did the other part of the storyline. Yes, there it is, creeping up from below the screen. And based upon that, I think I got another call, and they asked me, we're coming out with a solo title for Azrael, and Barry's drawing it, and would you like to work with him on the book?
But
And
but in the timeline, though, James, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
Lake of Fire came out in what, 94? So this was when Jean-Paul Valley had stepped in for Bruce Wayne and became Batman, as Bat as
right.
he is.
You're absolutely right. I wonder if I'm getting my timeline mixed up there.
But so Lake of Fire was like the test run for you guys on a Bat title.
I guess it must have been. It's
a hell of a test run, though, on a Marvel DC crossover.
Yeah. I learned a lot doing that particular comic book. I learned a lot about working with Barry. I learned a lot about, just my craft. I learned a lot about the economics of being a comic book artist. I learned how important it was to set aside some money for your quarterly tax payments. The book sold really well, and I got a very healthy royalty check for it, which had me jumping up and down in my living room and thinking, I've got a career.
This is
I've actually, I've got a career now, and that was really great until I realized that the royalty check put me into a whole different tax bracket, and I basically owed everything that I made on that book for royalties to the government at the end of the year.
But there are reprints, and there is a trade coming out this year, which I'm sure you have to. Yes. I don't know how the whole royalties selection or how that works, but they got to be calling you during that.
Well, reprints are a good thing. at least they are, for DC stuff. I hope I don't get myself in trouble here saying this live on the air.
No, not at all.
No. But I have.
As the internet conks out for a second.
Yes. I have steadily received royalty payments from DC ever since I first started working for them, and I still get them today. I don't think I ever received a dime from Marvel for any of the work I did at Marvel. So, I'll leave that to people to make their own judgments.
Make mine Marvel, right? Yeah. Hey, we still love Marvel. We love Marvel.
I grew up reading Marvel comics.
And you worked on one of the biggest Marvel characters of them all.
I did a couple issues of Thor.
Thor 74, man.
Yeah.
I don't have it. I looked for it.
That's Thor 74, which is not on our discussion, list here for today. But
another night.
Yeah, as everyone who has seen us talk before probably knows full well, what we start out talking about isn't always what we end up talking about.
The road that we're meant to be on sometimes, right? But
I got to tell you,
please.
Thor 74 was partly one of my favorite books that I ever worked on, and it was also the comic book that made me decide to give up freelancing. So I'll just leave that hanging out there for another day.
There will be a Thor 74 episode. I'll throw that out there right now. That's a future episode. The Bad Field Archives will just be Thor 74. So we're going back to Lake of Fire though, and I got to tell you, it's got that fancy glossy paper that makes comics so much more rich, and I love it. Barry's
Yeah,
detail, your details on top of the details. I love some of the scenes. I don't know if I can show. I know people show comic panels all the time. I try not to. It's like people showing clips of movies on YouTube. You never know what you can show or who's going to get mad. I don't know. But there's a
right.
scene, there's a panel of Jean Paul in the Batcave. And I just love the details of that cape, that 90s cape, that
Oh yeah,
flowing up, and he's got the tendrils, and he's got the little light over the short blonde hair.
right.
You know, it's a great book. 90s capes, nothing beats them.
No, no, and Barry, that's one of his capes is like one of his things.
Yeah.
Every artist has something that they really enjoy drawing, and you can usually tell the things that they really enjoy drawing. And whenever I look at one of Barry's drawings of Batman, I'm like, yeah, he really enjoys drawing capes, even back then.
The monthly title, though, starts with Azrael #1. I mean, you must get this book all the time at a convention.
Oh yeah, yeah, still do,
Still do?
still do.
It's just iconic. You got Bruce Wayne, you got Azbat, and then in the middle you got Azrael. Out of the Batman legend rises Azrael, O'Neill, Kitson, Pascoe. I've said this to you before, and I'll say it again. When I saw those three names, I knew it was going to be good. That's not retroactive praise. At a young age, I knew it was going to be good.
I appreciate that. It was. I will never forget working on that issue for sure. For a lot of reasons.
Talk to me. Why is that?
Well, it was. I love the character. At that point, I felt like, Barry and I were starting to get into a really good groove with the artwork, and I was proud of the book. I was proud of how it came out. Not just for artistic reasons, but and this is we're possibly heading off into other territory here, but at the time that I got that assignment, before I got my first page from Barry to start working on, I had a major health scare.
Oh no!
And I had a major operation, and I was actually home from the hospital for one day before I started working on page 1 of that book. I was basically in bed most of the day, and I would get out of bed, from my recovery for an hour or so at a time and start working on the pages. And it wasn't until I was almost done with that issue that I was relatively recovered from my surgery. So, I will certainly never forget that experience.
You will never forget Azrael #1.
No, never.
And does it remind you of that every time a fan brings it to you at a convention?
It doesn't remind me of that. That's always in the back of my mind. But it's more the good memories. Of I just had so much fun working on that issue, and I felt like my career was taking off. After struggling to get into the business for a while, and so when I see that, it's a reminder of a lot of good things.
So the struggle to get into the industry, and then almost the struggle of getting that book out.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm glad everything worked out. I'm glad. I love the book. I've always loved Azrael 1. I feel cliched. If we ever met at a convention, I would bring it to you because I don't like to be cliched.
Well,
But
I never get tired of seeing it. I really don't, because it's just nothing but really good memories.
it's cool too because of that whitish gray.
Yeah, yeah. That was a good choice.
And just that stark of the orange and of his flames.
Right. Everything, of course, was done in black and white in the original artwork.
Yeah,
Not gray, of course, as I'm sure you know.
yeah.
But the editorial choice to fade out the background and then make the figure of Azrael in color in the foreground, I think makes it really stand out. It's a powerful piece.
It's a powerful book too. You're introduced to so many characters. I love that how Jean Paul is questioning who he is, and I love the Brian character.
Oh, Brian, yes.
Brian's cool.
Yeah, he is. Brian would be a character that would be in some of the movies we talked about, over time.
He would
He,
be like that sidekick lackey, like a
yeah,
Goldilocks. He would be like that type of character.
he really
Lovable,
would.
and you don't want to see anything bad happen to him. But he's the perfect person to put in a horrible situation for your hero to go after.
Right. He's a good foil.
He's a good foil, exactly.
Yeah.
Now it was always designed to be a monthly book, Azrael, right?
Yes.
I know today there's constant renumberings and X, Y, and Z, yada yada yada. But was there ever like the roadmap, like we're just gonna go until the wheels come off the engine?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. That's probably, that would be a question that probably Denny O'Neil would know.
That's my
Um,
next question.
yeah.
Best Denny O'Neil story you got, if you have one.
You
That
know,
you can share on air, because there's a few good Denny O'Neil stories floating around out there.
yeah. Well, he's an iconic figure in comics. I mean,
Absolutely.
he's nothing but interesting stories, right?
Right.
Uh, although on this book, uh, I was working so closely with Barry that really I spent much more time talking with Barry, talking with the assistant editors, talking with Archie Goodwin, our editor on the book. Those are the people that I interacted with most, and I really never interacted that much with Denny.
He was the legend. I know we've talked about that. He is the
Yeah,
legend of Batman. Like helped rejuvenate Batman in the 1970s.
sure.
Him and Neil Adams, may they both rest in peace, just
Yeah,
laid the groundwork to return the Dark Knight to his roots.
right.
And we could talk about that all day because one of my favorite comic books of all time is Batman 237. I've said that on air several times. I'll say that till I'm blue in the face. I love Batman 237, and I'm happy to have that signed by Neil Adams. Cool guy, funny guy, controversial guy, but nevertheless, cool guy.
Another an iconic figure in comics for many different reasons.
Funny as hell too. From my few interactions with him, I thought he was funny as hell. Like just funny, like a funny man.
That's not.
In a dry way, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Denny was the editor of all Batman titles, though, in the 90s, was he not? Like, of Batman,
Yeah,
Detective, Robin,
right.
Catwoman, done brilliantly by Joe Duffy and Jim Ballant. Don't get me wrong, I love the Batman titles. It's my golden era of reading Batman. I mean, you had to,
Sure.
get everything, loved it. You guys laid the groundwork that is duplicated but never replicated now with all the Bat titles.
Yeah, Denny was what they called the Batman group editor, just like Mike Carlin was the Superman group editor. So they really had their hands full.
Oh my
You
God,
know,
at that time?
yeah, yeah. When you're basically in charge of, you know, a third of the holy DC Trinity, uh, there's a lot of pressure that comes with that job, I'm sure.
And they both handled it well. I'll throw Mike Carlin in there. Carlin and O'Neil just took it and knew how to run with it.
Yeah, Mike's another really, really great guy. He took over editing Azrael after Archie passed away,
Yeah.
and I loved working with Mike. He's just a great guy. You know, I mean, he's a terrific editor, obviously, but and again, really an iconic figure in the history of comics. He might not, he might, poo-poo that notion, but you know what,
He,
like the death of Superman. What was bigger than that?
you were there at DC at that time, right? With the death
I
of
was,
Superman.
yeah, yeah.
How insane was it? I know we're going off course, but how insane was it behind closed doors about that reception and notion of killing Superman?
Pretty crazy, I think. I mean, I worked on a few Superman titles before that time period, but not during that time period. So I
Yeah,
don't have firsthand knowledge, except a couple of stories which are sort of funny, but probably not for public dissemination.
fair enough. Someday we'll do an Adventures of Super. You did a couple of Superman books, and it's
Yeah.
funny because one of them is advertised in one of the Azraels. I wish I had written it down in my notes, but
Uh-huh.
that's Superman Annual #7.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was reading, I'm going through it, and all of a sudden I just, those old DC Year One annuals.
Right.
Now, we gotta fire up the brain cells for a second. You're working on Azrael, you're doing Fallen Angel, which we'll get to a little bit in depth in a second. But I gotta admit, a book that I'm very impressed by. Oh God, watch it not be the one in the pile. It was the Year One annual,
Oh, yeah.
but there it is, 1995 annual. I have to admit this. I did not read this until about a month ago because I didn't know about it. It went completely past me.
Yeah.
That's a cool book.
That's a cool cover, huh?
That's a cool cover, but the names on it, like O'Neill, Ammerman, who I don't know his work a lot, and you and Barry and Auckland, Lee, and Branch. I know annuals were sort of done as a not test, but a way to get more content out there and bring in a different team to kind of give you guys a break and to focus
Right.
on other things.
Right.
So it says you only inked issues 1 through 9 and 44. And I'm not going to say I don't like that, but you can definitely tell two artists' styles when two different artists are working on a book.
Oh, sure.
That's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
But I will say, page 44 of this book is pretty cool. And I don't care if you two
I
get to
remember
that.
page 40. Let me see it if you would. Yeah.
Am I
Yeah.
getting it good?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah.
Very
It's not
simple.
not the most highly detailed page in the book, but there's a certain emotional power there.
And that's all you need sometimes.
Right.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Were you a fan of that, working on a book and multiple people writing in an issue? Because I know that happened a couple of times during your lengthy run.
No, I'm not a fan of that as a reader or as a creator. I like the consistency, of creative vision in every page. I'm not even really. I understand having a specific cover artist, but I'm not really a fan of having a different artist do the covers. I like to pick an artist or artists who who do the character well, um, and have them do everything, so that the book has an artistic identity, if you will.
It's a
You know,
candy wrapper, if you will.
yeah,
And I know it's happened. It happened after you left. It happened after you left Azrael. It's happened on so many books where you bring
right,
in a hot artist to do the cover, and then you
right,
open the book and it's completely different.
yeah, and you always feel a little let down.
A little bit. Sometimes you're pleased, actually.
Sometimes you are, yeah, sometimes you are, and some of the cover artists on Azrael, I thought did incredible work. Um, like there was a whole series that Mike Zach and Jerry Ordway did the covers for, and they did some just fantastic work. I loved those covers. Uh, but I think, for me, that's just the exception that proves the rule, or at least proves my opinion.
I have a good Jerry Ordway story, and I hate to say it, it's one of those that cannot be shared.
Uh,
I will
he's
tell you in private.
okay. He's a tremendous craftsman. I mean, he just his ability to just draw anything is seemingly almost limitless. He's really good.
Yeah. Oh, what the hell? I'll just say it. I'll tell you. One night, Jerry Ordway, me, Dunzilla, Steve Grant, Mohegan Sun. That's all I got to say.
All right.
You can imagine where that possibly went.
I'm not sure I want to.
It didn't get weird. It didn't get weird. It got fun.
Oh, well, that's nice.
And it's like, how do you say it? What's the old saying? Never meet your heroes. You're often disappointed.
Yes, that's close.
I've met several guys that were names when this brain was forming. Psyche, you are one of them. Most of them are cool, and especially when you're having the same drink.
It's funny how that works out, huh?
And you might need to add an S to the end of drink.
Uh-huh. I suspected that, yes.
That's another story for another day. That'll be Superman when we get to Superman.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that I've been going to the San Diego Comic-Con for a long, long time. Well before I got into the business, as a creator.
Yeah.
And several years before I got my first assignment, and I don't remember exactly how this happened, but I ended up in a hotel room, probably the Hotel Cortez, where Comic-Con started out, I believe.
When it was the small Comic-Con that just blew up.
Yeah.
I've heard stories.
And there were all kinds of pros in this hotel room, and I don't know how I wrangled an invitation, to get in there, but me and a friend of mine were invited up to hobnob with the pros, and other than the people there, all I remember is that every single one of them was blasted out of their mind, smoking pot.
They're doing their thing.
Doing their thing, yes.
And probably not even talking about comics, right?
Not much, no. That was pre-legalization.
A different world.
A different world, yes.
A much different world.
Yes.
I've always found that most of the creative people that I have met, hung out with, and I'll just say during my party days, partied with, they were all cool as hell.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. There are always exceptions, but I would say by and large, I've had the same experiences.
I don't know how you top some of these. The rails of Azrael are like the Back to the Future 3 train tracks. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But take me back to Fallen Angel, if you can. We're talking issue 2 and 3. I'm not going to be like, hey, panel 7, did you use a colored pencil or none of that. That's not how I operate. Just how cool is it to finally get the chance to draw Batman?
Very cool.
And the Dark Knight, like the black suit that kind of came in the 90s, which was cool. You're following up on the Michael Keaton craze, and at the time I think Val Kilmer was getting ready to suit up, so it's like you got to make Batman black.
Yeah,
the black suit, I mean, like you got to make it more in line with the film franchise. Was that that was cool?
Yeah, that was cool. And although we as you say, we don't want to go over panel by panel.
No, God, no. There's no need to go panel by panel because, quite frankly, the way you guys have the panel set up is perfect. It's cinematic, how you and Barry always had it. Just for example, this conversation with Batman
Yeah,
and Jean Paul.
yeah.
Wide establishing, tight, and then foreground and background with your two
Right.
main characters.
I think it was in issue 2. There's one particular page that I thought was some of Barry's most cinematic storytelling, and I still think about that page even after all these years. Uh, but Jean Paul in his civilian garb is in a room which is on fire, and he yeah, no, it's not that page. It's the one where he ends up on the roof.
I got you.
That's well, no, not that one. Must be that's the one. That's the one that I still think about to this day. Just the flow of the action and the emotional context in those panels. I just love that page.
I loved it from the character standpoint. See, I'm a frustrated writer at heart. I can't
Mhm.
draw to save my soul. So when I see a page like that, I see a man in his own hell trying to escape it,
Right, right.
which you guys can visualize. But I'm sure Denny had a hell of a way of explaining it or writing it differently or just trying to convey that to you guys.
Yeah, I mean it's it was a very much a collaboration, I think, between Denny and Barry. Uh, in that particular page, I'd have to go back and look at a copy of the script, but I suspect it was a little bit more Barry that led to the actual storytelling, on a panel to panel basis. Uh, but I just thought he did an amazing job on that page, particularly. And like I said, I've just never quite got it out of my head.
Well, there's a stark contrast in issue 2, and it's
Yeah,
you got the fiery hell, and then you got the ice cathedral, which you see
right.
the cathedral on that splash page, and it's like I just love the winding road and all that, and it's just like
Yeah,
usually a splash page is used for a big reveal, and I get it, it's the ice cathedral, or he
right,
speaks it in his native in the that Icelandic dialect, the East Cathedral and all that. I know I
right,
butchered the hell out of it, but he was a wandering spirit, Jean Paul, but it was almost like the fiery depths of this burning building to the Icelandic ice cathedral and all that. It's just awesome.
right.
You couldn't pin him down. He was always traveling.
Hmm.
I loved it.
Yeah, and I think the the very European flavor, of the cult of Saint Dumas, uh, and and a lot of the backgrounds. Like you'll notice that Barry would draw stained glass windows a lot, and some of those very medieval looking pillars in the architecture. And
Yeah.
I think he was like a really good choice as an artist to do all of that. Not only because he lives in England, and but he's also a real student of history, and so he was able to draw on a lot of his own personal knowledge uh, to uh, to incorporate that in with, and it gave the book almost more of a mythological feel to me rather than a straight superhero title, at
It
least in those earlier issues.
in the early issues of you and Barry, it struck me as an international, mystical, almost
Yeah,
globe-trotting James Bond
right,
adventure.
right. Yeah, it was very much not just a standard superhero title for a while.
Then it kind of became superhero, but I feel like there
Right.
was a course correction later on where you and Roger got it not back, you different trajectory.
Yeah. Well, and Roger, he had some influences that were similar to Barry's and mine, uh, but I think they were unique in their own regard.
Yeah.
And he brought his own flavor to the book, which I really appreciated. It was, for me at least, it was great that that someone was coming on the book for me to work with, who I felt a real artistic kinship with. But that's a story for another day, right?
That will be part 2, and hopefully Mr. Robinson is joining us.
I hope so too. Yeah,
I hope so too, because he seems like a cool guy.
he's a very cool guy. Yeah, we got along really well as artists and also as just friends.
Well, you guys also worked together on books besides Azrael. He was there
Oh
for
yeah,
Thor 74, Weapon X, and
right.
I feel like there was another one. Ooh.
Gambit.
Oh, the Raging Cajun Gambit.
Yeah, yeah,
Gambit.
yeah. No,
Another episode for another time.
yeah, definitely.
How were the sales of Azrael? It's very hard for me to go back and find how the sales numbers were for comics of that day. Obviously, they're good enough where you went, but you they didn't get canceled.
Right, right. No, they were. Well, I think the best answer to that is probably twofold. The sales were very good, uh, based upon the time frame. Uh,
The industry was hot.
the industry was hot when the book
Like
came out.
hot, like issue 2. Like you guys are standing there and the room is on fire. You
Yeah,
can't punch out content. I considered myself lucky because when I got into comics, it was on fire,
it
fire,
really was.
and
Yeah,
I've never seen it that on fire since, and I probably never will.
and you probably never will. I agree with that. So at some point during Azrael's run, the industry itself cooled off, and so the book cooled off along with the rest of the industry.
Yep.
So I would say the answer to that is it held its own based on the time that we're talking about. You know, uh, really well, and then tapered off toward the end, like a lot of books.
But the cool thing about it was it has its note. I feel like in comics lore, like you can't jump past Azrael, the replacement of the Bat.
Hmm.
It's there, and
Yeah.
it's
No,
cool.
it has historical significance. Yeah.
But one of the things, and I know you and I have talked about this before, is that you are a fan of Kirby, as is
Yes.
anyone. I feel like any kid who goes and sees a Marvel movie today and decides to dive in and be like, "This is what I want to get into," the road is going to lead you to Kirby.
Sure. It has to.
Your tenure rivals Kirby's tenure on books because that's one thing, and you don't see that a lot today. Is creative on a same title for X amount of time. So that's one of the reasons I applaud you and Azrael because you were there basically until the end, and
Yeah.
you saw the ups and downs of the '90s. It's funny, the '90s are the '90s, but just how Azrael starts. I know I'm kind of getting long-winded in where I'm going with this, but it's just amazing that it's always going to be there, and you have 100 issues roughly, and you worked on 89. I know I said 91, but I think I did the exact count at like 88, maybe 87.
It was
I
somewhere
think
around 90.
it's
Yeah.
around there. It's a ton, and I
Yeah.
applaud you for that. Is basically where I'm going.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it is a source of pride for me. As you say, it doesn't happen that often these days. Certainly,
No,
no, no.
no,
So
no.
that's from a practical standpoint, there are good things and bad things about being, overwhelmingly associated with one title. Um, it's like if people are familiar and they like that title, it's a great thing because then they really know your work. But if they weren't Azrael readers, uh, and of course I did other things as well, but still, if they weren't, that's mostly what I did in my career because that's a lot of issues,
Yeah.
and um, that's a lot of people who didn't necessarily know my work because I was spending most of my time doing that.
And it was like Azrael was it was there, man, almost every day, right? According
Right.
to issue 3, it's that time of I got to bring that up. I was in my rereading of Azrael during Barry Kitson's run, during the Fallen Angel storyline, which is a great storyline, by the way.
Yeah.
Fallen Angel Part 3, The Proposition. Ironically, with another comic book title advertised that I actually reviewed with the writer. In the letters pages, it says the inker. I won't read it verbatim, the whole thing, because it's nice 3 paragraphs. It goes over your history. Talks about Adventures of Superman, the Batman Punisher crossover, and then finally Azrael. Quote, when not working his regular 10 to 12 hours, 6 days a week inking schedule, James enjoys playing and watching sports, working out at the gym, reading, and going out to the movies, along with listening to music. As for future comics assignments, James's goals is to, quote, do everything, then die. Fortunately, Azrael is, of course, his favorite assignment. Cool cover, by the way, at 3.
Now that is actually one of my very favorite of all the Azrael covers.
All of them.
Yeah,
Now, during Barry's run, did Barry do Barry did the covers
he
with
did.
you.
Yeah,
You and Barry did the covers together.
yeah.
What about this cover is so memorable for you? Just to start,
Uh,
just that whole man on the mission.
well, I think there's something. Well, what would be the best word to describe it? It kind of reminds me of like a Doctor Strange cover. It's there's sort of mythological overtones, to the background and everything going on that always appealed to me a lot. I was always a big Doctor Strange fan, and I could just sort of imagine, Azrael in his sanctum sanctorum, with all these interesting mystical, you know, things around him. Uh, I just loved it. It's kind of a love-hate relationship, actually, that cover for me, because although I love the cover, uh, and I worked really hard, to make it as good as I could. Um, I think I could have done a better job in retrospect. But I look back at some things that way, and it's probably not fair because you you can only do the best you can do on a given day at a given time in your arc, right?
Right.
Um, and if I were to do that cover again today, I feel quite certain that I would make it better than I did back then. But I did my very best at the time. So I still love the cover, but there is that little there's that little thing in the back of my head that,
Could
where
be better.
it's hard for me to look at it without looking at this or that and going, oh, I should have done it that way. Oh, I did, and that's just part of the artistic mindset, I think.
Take me to the creative mindset, though. When you're doing this monthly title, how far advanced do you know where the story is going to go, or was it just sort of month by month for you as well?
For me, it was month by month. I knew where the story was going before I would get pages from Barry, because they would send me the script.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a chance to see, what was going on for the entire issue first. And then I would get the actual pencil pages, a bit at a time.
Was there ever anything that comes to your mind where you were like, I don't agree with this.
Oh
This
yeah,
isn't
sure.
this isn't what I would do if I have say. And
Sure.
if you had say, did you or would you suggest to Barry or even Denny maybe? Have you looked at this angle perhaps?
No.
Or you're just the inker? You're just part of the process to help
Yeah,
them tell their story.
yeah, no, it was partly that, and it was also because I was the new kid on the block, right?
Right.
I had not been in the business very long when I got that assignment, whereas, Denny had done Batman and Green Lantern, Green Arrow, and all of these things, and Barry was a well-established, top-notch veteran artist. You know, uh, I suspect that if I would have gone to either of them and said, I think you ought to do it this way, they might have laughed at me. I don't know that for sure, but if they had, I wouldn't have blamed them. It's like, okay, kid, come back in 10 years and then tell me what your suggestion is again.
The thing was, though, you were there for a long time with Denny. Denny wrote every issue while being
He
the
did.
editor, which I find astonishing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, he was quite prolific. He wrote a lot of good stories over the course of his career.
I still think his question story is one of his most underrated.
Oh, I absolutely agree with you. I think those were terrific. Yeah.
I'd
Love
say,
that character too.
oh, question.
Yeah.
Now, was he the one in the Superman annual you guys did, or was that Phantom Stranger? I'm drawing a blank. That Superman annual,
Yeah.
number 7.
That was so long ago, I don't remember myself. I'd have to look at the issue again. But I really enjoy both the Question and the Phantom Stranger, because they both remind me of pulp characters. And I've always,
Exactly. And
yeah,
I know you're a big admirer of the pulps, which is
huge.
interesting to me because when Azrael the annual, the third annual came out when they went all pulpy.
Right.
You're not there, and I think that was during your tenure, or just I don't remember the timeline.
Yeah, I don't even remember who did that issue.
I don't even really remember it in all honesty.
No, I don't either.
I didn't know of this first annual until recently, but I
Hmm.
remember the second one because I thought it was cool, and I don't have that handy because that's not a part 1 book, I don't
Right.
think.
Right.
you,
Yeah.
you got a pretty good memory though. Talk to me about the progress of Azrael, how he goes from Fallen Angel to teaming with Batman to Contagion to essentially the fall of Saint Dumas. I've met people who, I don't want to make you think back to something you can't remember or XYZ, but it's you got to play with events and tell these self-contained stories. So take me to Contagion for a second. A story a little ahead of its time.
Yeah. You think?
I remember there's a panel in number 15, or is it 16? I think it's 15. Where is 15? Here's 16. Great iconic, simple
Yeah.
cover with
Okay.
Azrael and Tim Drake's skeleton. And I've
Hmm.
said this numerous times. I've said it to you. Tim Drake was always my Robin. There's nothing against Dick Grayson, but
Yeah.
Tim Drake, when I got into comics, Robin Annual 4. First
Uh-huh.
comic I ever bought with my own money.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess
Tom,
everybody's got one of those, huh?
mine was so beat up. That and Robin 15. I showed that to Tom Grummett. Oh, man. You should have seen the smile on his face. Cool guy.
Yeah.
Cool guy. So, okay. Azrael 15. Great cover. I'm assuming by you and Barry.
Yes.
You're playing with Catwoman too, who at the time was being well done by Jim Ballant.
She
Love
was a
Jim Ballant.
popular character, yeah.
Yeah, and Jim's Catwoman is. I close my eyes and think of Catwoman. I think of his.
Interesting.
That's just how it is. So Contagion's going on, and Tim Drake has contracted this. Well, the story is a virus is loose in Gotham City,
Right.
and they're struggling to find a cure. And Tim Drake ends up getting the virus. Maybe it was issue 16. But there's a scene with Alfred that was so well done, written and drawn by you guys. It must have been 16. And I will read it verbatim because Alfred is one of the most underrated characters in all of
He really
comics
is.
and
Yeah.
film. Alfred is so cool. You think Alfred's ever really gotten his due, though?
No, I don't.
No. In the movies, yeah, I feel like there's glimpses, but there's so much.
Have you seen the TV show Pennyworth?
I know he has a relationship with the Queen. I have not watched it in its entirety.
Yeah, Alfred in his younger, more daring do days.
You know, Alfred's backstory is never, he's just sort of the guy that always patched Bruce up, gave Tim, Dick, Jean-Paul, everyone, that fatherly advice. He was the father that these almost fatherless figures didn't have.
Right, exactly.
And
you're right on the money there.
I know for a lot of people, the big thing with Alfred was that scene in The Dark Knight where he all it was that one little scene where he says, a long time ago, I was in Burma with my friends, XYZ and all that. And I feel like a lot of people are like, oh my God, Alfred has a story and Alfred has Alfred's seen some stuff.
Yes, and done
he hasn't always just been sitting there holding Thomas Wayne's umbrella.
No, he wasn't always 70 years old.
No, he was a younger man and a flawed man in his way too, who is, he's responsible for raising some of the most prominent heroes in DC.
Right.
And well respected by everyone in DC too.
Mm-hmm.
I do love Michael Goff's Alfred though from the George Clooney film because he made that film. Here we go.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I'll be next, I suppose, along with millions of my fellow men. Batman, Robin, Nightwing, Azrael, Huntress, and the entire Gotham City police force. Not to mention the National Guard, a most formidable force. The most formidable ever assembled, all as helpless as babies. This time. You guys knocked it out of the park with that story. Now, I know it was a multi-part story that continued throughout, I think, Detective, Batman, Catwoman, Huntress. I can't believe Huntress had her own title. And Robin. So.
Really like that last panel, by the way. I think the choice to make it a simple all-black background really focuses the emotional intensity on the character, and it just works very well.
Well, it conveys the point, like you said, from an emotional standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, we could have drawn a bunch of detailed stuff in the background, and all it would have done was diminish the emotional impact.
And it would have focused the eyes away from everything else. You would have been looking at the giant penny or that T-Rex or that Joker card or the big-ass back computer screen. No, you needed the focus on Tim Drake and Alfred right there.
Exactly.
And Tim obviously lives, even though it's teased at the end of that issue that he dies.
Yes, and that made you happy.
It did. It did. I don't have the big Robin collection like I had Azrael or even Batman at the time. My Robin collection basically went from 95 to like 97. Not issues 95, not year 1995 to 1997. I don't remember the exact numbers, but maybe one day I'll get all the Well, the Robins. I asked you this post pregame and all that, and that's interesting. This DC comic logo is somehow causing not controversy, but is making books super expensive. I wish I knew why.
I wish I knew why too. I'll have to look at my issues and see which version I have.
I feel like I got ripped off on this price too. Not ripped off because of the quality. I feel like because there's a huge gash on the pinhead cover.
Oh.
But guess what? I don't care. This was one that I recently picked up. But I know I said we were going to do Barry's run, and I hope you didn't think we were going to go issue for issue. If we did, I can, but I think it was just vague, not vague, but detailed overlay, like a map.
Yeah. Yeah.
When did you know Barry was leaving the book?
I don't think I knew until the very end. And I don't recall off the top of my head where he went immediately following Azrael. And I have a pretty good idea. I know why, but it probably is not my story to tell.
I understand.
But I think it was pretty much, Archie probably told me, and I imagine, or at least to the best of my memory, it was something like, Barry's moving on. We'd like you to stay. There's going to be a couple fill-in issues, and then there'll be someone new taking over the book. But but they wanted me to stay.
Was there ever any, when you found that out, when he said, "Hey, Barry's leaving," were you afraid, that means I'm out too, or?
Oh, sure, because that happens a lot of times.
Yeah, break up the band and everyone goes their own way.
Right, exactly. And I was really enjoying working on the book. So, I would have been disappointed if that were the case. But then, you never know who the new person is going to be. You don't know. I had forged, a really good relationship with Barry, both professionally and personally. We got along really well. We talked a lot. We played chess online and, did a lot of stuff other than just work together.
The old days of playing chess on the computer?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The 90s.
The 90s, yes.
Do you stay in touch with Barry?
Not as much as I used to, but to a certain extent, like, we follow each other on Facebook and we talk, via Messenger once in a while. And his partner, Katrin, is, seems really nice. And, we've talked a few times. She's actually bought some artwork from me.
Really?
And, yeah. I did a piece just sort of for the fun of it, which was two of Neil Gaiman's Endless characters, and I superimposed them with Emma Peel and John Steed from the old Avengers show. So, and I did it in kind of a psychedelic '60s sort of style. And they both really liked that, so they ended up buying it from me.
How does one buy your artwork? I've gone on your website to try to look for, because there's one that I want. I won't say, but you can't click, or there's no. I have a hard time.
Right, I don't sell artwork on my site. It's just, people just get a hold of me. They email me, or I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. They get a hold of me through social media. And that's how I take commission requests.
Gotcha. There was one that you have on your website, though, that there's actually 3 I spied.
Well, don't leave me in suspense. Tell me which ones.
Azbat.
Okay, yeah.
Hawkman.
Yeah, yeah.
And the Falcon, Sam Wilson.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sadly, all three are gone.
No, that's fine. They're on picture to see for all eternity. I was
Yeah,
just curious about that because I never really bought anyone's commissioned artwork.
yeah. I really liked how that Hawkman came out, by the way. That was I'm a big fan of the Hawk characters, so it was really fun for me to work on that one.
Yeah, because it was like the moon. It's the one I'm thinking of. It's like the moon and kind of
Right.
the
He's in space.
wings. Yeah, he's just you know
Yep.
Carter Hall, Carter Hall,
Yeah.
not Katar Hu or whoever that.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Very complicated backstory. Yes.
I tried, man. I tried. I was like, maybe if I get this, and I got more confused. I said, well, I'll get the annual. Annuals are a good way to fill you in.
Hmm. No,
Cool.
that just made it
Ah,
more complicated. Yeah.
yeah, I'd move on. I'd move on from Hawkman.
Yeah.
But
I love
you
anything. I love anything Egyptian though. So his Egyptian-oriented backstory always appealed to me.
and he,
Like Moon
and
Knight.
well, Moon Knight was just a fantastic character.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, uh, I love the whole Steve Grant, Mark Spector, and the split
Right.
personality and all that.
Yeah.
When they made Moon Knight a stereotypical like superhero book, sure it was fun, but I'm like, why is Moon Knight fighting Doom? I get it. It's everyone fights Doom at one point.
Right.
I get
Right.
it. I mean, I'm not a even Squirrel Girl got one over on Doom, and they all fight Doom. If I'm surprised Doom didn't play a big factor in a lot of the crossovers. Although I think he did in one of them, but you could have had Batman and Doom go at it, and so not you particular, but like Marvel and
Right.
DC could have probably done more with Doom, but it just seemed like Luthor was probably the more of the stereotypical bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think your point about Moon Knight is well taken,
Yes.
and I I kind of feel that way about, like almost every book, where anything that makes it less like a standard, stamp them out superhero title, I usually like. And when they make it, very standardized, you know, men in tights kind of stuff, um, I usually don't like that as much.
It's fun, but it's dime a dozen on the shelf.
It's time a dozen, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I'm a big mythology fan and mysticism fan and all of that kind of stuff. So, when you have a title that has those kind of elements or historical elements, something that makes it a little bit different, that grabs my attention. Um,
Were you a fan of the Adam and Hawkman series that came out?
yeah, I think I
Yeah.
was. Yeah, I liked that. Yeah, for a lot of those reasons and more.
Hawkman was always cool too. Same with Moon Knight. I know they're
Hawkman
on
was cool.
Hawkman is wicked cool.
Hawkman is very cool, and even though I was predominantly a Marvel Comics reader uh, as a kid, I also had a really big crush on Hawkgirl. So there was that
Shire.
element to it as well.
Shire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, she's a very good character also.
You know, I'll do you wish you had more time at Marvel? Can I just ask that? Like, do you wish you had more time at Marvel?
Sometimes when I think about it, uh, there are characters I wish I could have had a chance to work on. Like Daredevil. I wish I would have had a chance to work on Daredevil. Wish I would have had a chance to work on like maybe a Nick Fury book. Because a lot of times at conventions, people ask me, what made you want to get into comics? And my usual reply is that Jack Kirby is what got me started reading comics. And when I saw the art in by Steranko in Shield #1. That's what made me want to actually do it.
Steranko.
Yeah.
We've talked about that specifically in the past, but I'm going to follow up on that. In the world right now, is Jim Steranko wearing a gray suit with a black shirt? You know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about, and a pair of cool looking sunglasses too.
And that hair, man.
Yeah,
that
perfect
hair.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be perfect till the day he dies.
He is a gentleman, though. I would say that he is debonair would probably be the word for Steranko.
Yeah, I thought he was like a mythological character as a kid.
You built him up on this pedestal.
Well, yeah, not just because of his artwork and he was so far ahead of his time with a lot of stuff, and he was like a magician, and it's like when I as a kid, when I read the James Bond novels for the first time.
Oh
And
yeah.
I always wondered, like, is Ian Fleming like a spy in real life? Sometimes I think about Jim Steranko that way, like, what kind of wild stuff does he get up to in his real life?
I always thought about that about all the creative people that I grew up when I was a kid reading it. When it was like, Denny O'Neil. Like, I didn't know what Denny O'Neil looked like until I was probably 18. I didn't know what he even looked like.
Right. Well, there was no internet, right?
No, and it was a simpler time. It made your imagination just run. Like, what are these? Like, what these guys have they gone on globe-trotting adventures and things like that? It always made me wonder that. I told Dan Chichester, I didn't know what he looked like until I was almost 30.
Wow.
And the internet was a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think somewhere there was a DC magazine where it had you in it back in the day. I can't remember it. It's not in my archives. My archives. I'm like Wally. I'm like the I know we joked about this in Night Strangler. I'm like the night editor of the newspaper where I've got everything down in my office. No, but like I'm pretty sure I knew what you looked like along with Barry.
Mm.
I think there was something DC did where it showed you guys. It's sort of like the high school photo,
Right.
You're not looking at the camera, you're at the tape. I don't know. I don't know if that's ringing a bell or I may have been,
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember anything for DC like that. I do remember something before DC, when I became part of the Ultraverse. They put out like a photo signature book with pictures of all the characters, with pictures of all of the creators, and then a little box where you could, get our signature next to our picture. I remembered that, but I don't remember DC doing that.
That might be it.
Yeah, it's possible. I still see those once in a while. Every once in a while, someone will bring those to me at a convention.
And you're just going, wow.
Wow. Yeah, those were heady times. Like you said, I mean, not just because I was getting into the business for the first time, but the business was just hopping. It was just electric, kind of environment. I remember when I first, my first assignment for the Ultraverse, when I think prototype #1 came out.
Yeah.
And I was living in Arizona at the time, and we did a Ultraverse signing with several of the creators at a big local comic book shop. And my first thought, when I was going there that morning for the signing was, gee, I wonder if anyone will show up. And
you go around the corner.
And I go around I get out of the car and I'm walking toward the shop, and I see this long, long line, and there's people around the building several times. And I'm like, well, what are all these people here for? They can't possibly be here to see me. I'm nobody. Why would they come see me? And it was an amazing experience.
And it was for you.
Well, not the only one. There were
and
several
others.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, there were 3 or 4 of us, and they were there to see us. So that was very eye-opening.
30 years on, though, or just a number, X amount of years on, depending on whenever
Yeah,
the internet sees this video and its archives, X amount of years later, that's
right.
still a rewarding feeling, right? You're sitting there, you've got your
Oh
display.
yeah,
Here's the table. You've got your banner. I've seen your banner online. It's pretty cool. And show starts 10 to 4, however long it's going to go.
right.
Does it still astonish you that at like 10:05, maybe 10:03, somebody's coming up to you?
Yeah, it still does.
Yeah.
It never gets old, um, and it's always surprising to me. It's I always find it rewarding but surprising when I realize that my work has impacted someone to such a degree, that they still want to have me sign things and draw pictures for them, and it's never stopped being cool to me.
It's why you do it.
That's a big part of it, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I always, from the other side of the table, it's always the show starts at 10. I don't want to be that guy at 10:05 when you're still getting, ready, you got your coffee or your, smart
Right,
water. I don't
right,
want to be that guy coming up, I don't want to be, but it's like, well, they're cool. They should get it. Then you get the guy that maybe does like the couple of laps around.
oh yeah,
You know what I'm talking about?
yeah,
Then they come up to you when it's quiet. I get it. You see everything from both sides of the fence.
sure, yeah, absolutely.
Does Angel Insane get brought up to you though often? The Joker Azrael story that Barry did as Barry's swan song to the character.
Not as often as I would expect, because I
You
I always
guys
thought it was really cool.
reading the issues within the last couple of weeks, you two ended it on a high note.
I think so too. Yeah,
I'm not saying that could have been the end of the book, like should unforeseen circumstances, but if that was
right,
like the last time you and Barry ever worked together,
right,
high note and
yeah,
high. You got to draw the proper Joker, rectangular head,
yeah,
that grin, just that malevolent,
right,
humor.
right.
My,
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that issue, both of those issues, really hold up well.
they do.
Uh, yeah, I'm surprised more people don't bring that up to me. It's I more get issue number one because it's a number one issue, I guess.
People do
Um,
it.
yeah,
It's cliched.
yeah.
I try not to do that, and I do my darndest not to be cliched. If I
Well,
had to bring, go ahead.
I was just going to say, sometimes cliches. Uh, it's like things are popular for a reason, right?
Yes,
And just because something is popular doesn't necessarily make it a cliche. There may be other factors involved that make it popular, the popular choice. Uh, so I'm I'm very chill about those things, and I don't take things like that personally. So if
no.
somebody wants to, if 42 people in a row want me to sign issue number one, I'm fine with that.
And you're like, man, people really love number one.
Yeah, it's probably worth more. It's
Were you big on the convention scene while the book was going on?
pretty big. Yeah. Um, I got around to, I probably got around to more conventions during that time frame than before or since.
Really?
Um, yeah, yeah. I went to places like Chicago and New York and different sorts of conventions around the country, as well as I mean, I've gone to San Diego every year for God only knows how long, a long, long time. Since well before I was working in the industry, I was going to San Diego.
And you'll be back in 2024?
And I'll be back in 2024. Yeah. I think COVID was the only year I didn't go.
You didn't do the Zoom, you didn't do that Zoom, Skype, whatever thing. I think that was more garnered to Hollywood.
Yeah, I don't think I did that. No. So there may have been a year or two even where I skipped it during the COVID times, but other than that, every year, I still have very clear memories of Comic-Con from well before I became a professional artist. I have a very clear memory still of approaching a Marvel artist. Well, he was both Marvel and DC. Very, very well-known artist, very well thought of, who is deceased now. And I wanted to show him my portfolio of work. And he agreed to look at it. And he took a look at about...
I'm listening.
Oh, okay. He went away there. He took a look at about the first two things, shut the portfolio, and said, "Find yourself a real job, kid."
Wow. Can we say his name?
Well, he's dead now, so it probably would be in poor taste. But
do I know this individual? Have I heard his name?
Oh yeah, no, he's a very he's one of the upper echelon in the history of comics artists.
What title did he work on?
Tons and tons of different ones for Marvel and DC. But really, his name isn't the important part of the story.
No, just he crapped on you.
Yeah. It's and the the follow up to that is that memory was so implanted in my young brain. I was just a teenager at the time, and he was probably right. My work probably was crap at the time, but how did he know what I might become in the future? And that experience was so imprinted on my young mind that every convention that I've ever been, I remember that. I remember that experience every single time. And anyone who's ever wanted to show me their portfolio or their work or ask me questions about how I do things, it's always been really important to me to take whatever time I have and just be cognizant of the fact that they are in a place that I once was. And I never want to be that guy. And
it made you better.
It made me a better person, I think. Yeah. And I don't think I've ever been that guy. Mystery artist.
I don't think so. I don't think you'll tell me off air, hopefully.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah. I hope San Diego is good this year, but I that's one thing you've always been kind to me to come on here, so I would assume you would be cool to that high school senior who has drawn Thanos out of their love for their movie. Right. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I've been there. I was that kid, so why would I be mean to somebody? It'd be like being mean to myself. And I don't know where that person is going to end up in their artistic journey any more than this guy knew where I would end up in mine.
Did this guy know what you became? Did this guy know that you ended up on Azrael? No.
No, I doubt it. I doubt he would have the slightest idea who I was. Which is fine. But but I will say this: it sort of toughened me up a little bit too. You know,
And it made you more humble.
I was pretty humble.
You are a
I
pretty
was.
humble guy, but that definitely was an eye-opening experience for you.
It was, yeah, yeah, yeah. No doubt about that. It was very eye opening, and I won't say it was crushing, but I would say,
Dejected was the word.
yeah, I think I felt dejected at the time, sure, uh, but uh, um, I think we talked about the WNBA on one of these shows,
Yes, we have.
and you know, like a lot of people, I'm a big Caitlin Clark fan. Um,
Fantastic. Bad call
and
at the end of that game, though, against UConn.
bad call, yes.
Bad call.
But um, I read some statement that she made recently about not getting picked for the Olympic basketball team.
As have I.
And her point of view was, well, you know, it's a very competitive team,
It is.
and it'll just make me work harder. And ultimately, that's where I ended up after that experience. You know, I said, you know, that was like really, you know, I was bummed,
Yeah,
but I said, you know, it's just going to make me work harder. So ultimately, it was a good thing.
it is. I sorry that happened to you because I know in that moment when you get kind of crapped on, not by your hero, it's like the old adage, never meet your heroes.
Right.
When they
Right.
disappoint you, it stays with you.
It can, yeah.
There's a couple I've met that were not pleasant,
Right.
and it stays with you, and it changes your mindset. Shifting it for a second, to Caitlin Clark, you had your Golden State Warriors cup with your drink.
Oh, yes, I did. Good observation.
Thank you. Will you have the Golden State Valkyries cup when they come to town?
I will go to see games. Uh, I have already purchased a Golden State Valkyries T-shirt for
No
both myself
kidding.
and my girlfriend.
No kidding.
Yes,
Well, it's
she
about
got hers
time they
today.
expand. It's about time they expand, quite frankly.
Yeah,
12 teams in a sport that's growing.
yeah,
You got to go to at least 14.
yeah,
That's all I'll say.
yeah. No, and it's you know, we may have had this specific conversation before, but um, it's a different game than the men's game, but it's no less an entertaining game.
It's basketball, in my opinion, in the most pure form.
Yeah, I think so. Without all the aerial dynamics. Yeah.
Accidental basketball. That's all the NBA is now.
Yes.
It's all it is.
Yeah, and you know, I jump up and down when I see a spectacular dunk like anybody else, uh, but but there is something very pure about the women's game.
There is. There is. I was novice. I was snobbish to it, and when I was younger, I admit that freely.
Hmm.
Women's basketball. Come on. They're traveling. They're double dribbling. They can't slam dunk. Then I get a little older and I'm like, they're traveling. Double dribbling by mistake. Oh my God, a slam dunk, something you don't see very often. Made me appreciate it a lot more. Made you
Yeah,
realize that it's a much more pure game.
yeah, definitely.
I,
The
I, I still think that American crew going to Paris, gold medal. Come on, gold medal.
I would think so.
I don't think it's
That's a
the 20.
stacked team.
It's stacked, but I don't think it's 2016 stacked. I think
No,
that's the scariest women's team that's ever walked the face of the earth. I would call that the women's dream team that Gino
yeah,
Auriemma coached in 2016. When you had Della
yeah,
Dawn, Taurasi, Bird, oh God, Maya Moore, uh, Stewie. You just had it was
right.
stacked,
Yeah,
stacked.
absolutely.
This
There
team is
was
stacked though.
this team is stacked, but probably uh, the gap between the American team and the rest of the world is probably less than it was in that team that you mentioned.
Yeah,
That was just a huge gap. That was like the first dream team kind of gap.
yeah. Leaps and bounds. They were just going to walk over you.
Right.
And you needed that. Cheryl Reeve, who's the coach of the Minnesota Lynx, is coaching the Olympic team. She's a great coach. She's a fantastic coach. No disrespect to her, but she's not Gina Horiyama.
Right.
Boy, man, we went Azrael to WNBA women's basketball. That's something.
That's just another day at the office for this show, right?
We're good. That's good. Bravo to both of us. Hey, that's just how this show is always operated. And I love all the new followers too. Over 100 new followers, most of them from the great state of Arkansas. So shout out to Marilyn. Shout out to Marilyn Knapp and Jason Pitts.
Yeah, I don't know if you're watching Marilyn, but hi, we miss you.
She's fantastic.
Yeah.
Before we get back to Maryland, though, I want to go back to Angel Insane before Doug Braithwaite took over, before Roger showed up.
Yeah.
Drawing Joker in the Azrael costume.
Oh, I know. That was really fun.
Was that a Barry idea? Is that a Denny idea? And it's just...
I don't know the answer to that question. Neither would surprise me.
I mean,
yeah, I love how the costume is all baggy on him.
Because he's like that sickly, skinny Joker,
Right.
I don't mean to jump around, but it's the nature of the beast here. Talk to me about issue 7 with, if I say issue 7, I got to show you the cover probably to rejuvenate your memory. When he discovers he's a test tube result lab and all that, and this tragic curse falls upon him, he's going to go insane and all that. That was some dark water.
Yeah, that was dark.
That was dark.
Sure. Yeah.
Again, you guys used that simple cinematic with the black backdrop to convey Jean-Paul's. He's going to crack. He's going to freak out saying, you tear a baby from its mother, you put it in a thing, and you torture it with electricity. Is that what you did to me?
Right.
And it's just,
that
just that panel, the panel of the baby getting electrocuted. It's, as a younger man, I didn't really care about it. As a grown-up, I was kind of like, woof.
Yeah.
Woof.
Yeah, no, I think, Denny was really, he was really on his game.
He pushes the envelope.
Yeah.
But you got to draw all these fantastic characters, and I'll just show like some of the covers again. 8 is a fantastic cover.
I love that one, yeah.
9 is an homage. That's an homage to Batman and Robin, that classic spotlight cover, right?
Right.
The 12 with my friend on the cover. I have a friend that's like a big dude like that. That's what I jokingly call him. I didn't bring 13 in because you didn't do 13.
Right.
It's just how amazing you and Barry fired it on all cylinders. And Denny, did Denny rock the mustache back then?
I don't think he did. To the best of my memory, I don't think he did.
That's my only other Denny O'Neil question. Love this cover, by the way. Similar to issue 1, where you have the gray, and I know it all starts black and white, but to go with the black backdrop, the white face with the flame colored of Azrael in there, the candle flame.
Right.
God. Cool stuff, my man.
Thanks. Yeah, the imagery is strong.
It's what stuck out to me. the imagery. The words were great, but good art can save a poorly written story. That's the thing in comics that I've always observed, is that
Right.
good art can save bad story. Very rarely can a good story save bad art.
For me, I'm not sure I agree with that.
Okay.
And it may be strange coming from predominantly an artist, but I can remember, particularly during the 70s, there were a lot of Marvel comics that I read religiously because I really enjoyed the writing, even though the art to me was extremely pedestrian.
Do you remember which titles?
Well, like I would read anything that Steve Gerber wrote. I would read anything that pretty much that Steve Englehart wrote.
Oh, he's
Uh,
fantastic.
yeah, because it was a time period where the writing was really expanding the boundaries of what could be done.
Mm-hmm.
Writing a comic book, and a lot of times, they would choose artists who, to my eye anyway, weren't really as interesting as the story was, but they were probably fast,
And they needed to get the deadlines out.
and they needed to get the deadlines done right.
It seemed more crunch time back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
You
the
guys,
workflow was different.
was it really 6 days a week, 10 to 12 hours for you?
No, 7 days a week. Especially during there were there was a good stretch of years there where I was doing 2 books a month, and the books were like 25 to 28 pages each, and that was a lot of work. That was a lot of work. I could not do that level of work today. That was something when I was 20.
Take me back, take me to that table for a minute. Let's go back in time.
Yeah.
What got you through the grind? Coffee?
Well, there's that. Yeah. Just the love of what I was doing, really.
Yep.
The love of what I was doing, and the flat out excitement of being able to be a professional comic book creator. Every day, I would get to sit down at my drawing table and do what I had been dreaming of doing since I was literally 7 years old.
When
Uh,
when
yeah.
you would go to a convention, would you work still?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was nonstop. But that's why I think, for the most part, I think it's sort of a young person's game. Uh, more back then, because the workflow is different now. It seems like, where you don't have the same creative team necessarily doing issue after issue after issue.
It's a
Uh,
revolving door of an assembly line.
it's a revolving door where one creative team might do a 3-issue arc, and at the same time another creative team is working on the following 3-issue arc. So it's very different now.
Was there ever an assignment that came to you during your Azrael run that wasn't Azrael that you couldn't fit into your schedule that you remember?
Yeah. Yeah, there were things I got offered and I just didn't have time to do.
And do you
And
go? Do you kind of go?
well, yeah, because I wanted to do it all. It's like the letters page. I wanted to do it all.
You wanted to do it all before you died.
Yeah, exactly. And I was young, and I was just incredibly energetic and excited, and just thrilled beyond all human capacity to be there and doing what I was doing.
Is there
And
in
so,
an alternate universe where this conversation was happening? Is there another book in the DC library that you remember being offered? Can we play the what if game for a second? Is there a title that you were offered something to fill in or something?
No, because once I got to DC, I was pretty much a regular artist. I was a regular artist on the Titans book and then the Rebels book, and then I got an opportunity to sort of move up in the world, as it were, and working on more high profile characters. And then once I started Azrael, it's kind of like, I think there's an unspoken rule that unless it's a move up, the editors are sort of frowned on poaching talent from other editors.
I gotcha.
I don't know if that's always the case, but that seemed like the case to me.
James is kicking butt with Barry on Azrael. That's what they would say.
Yeah.
I got you.
And as we talked about earlier, Archie was such a beloved figure. I can't imagine anybody trying to poach talent from Archie. I just don't think it would be done.
No. I wish I had met him at some point because I heard, like I've said earlier, I've heard nothing but good stories about Archie Goodwin.
Just an amazing guy. Yeah.
There are some prolific comic people that have a shady side to them who will remain nameless.
Yes.
Some that you showed me some evidence of that. And one that I actually found today that I will have to share with you later. I saw a video of a certain individual. I don't want to say lying because that's the wrong word.
Exaggerating?
Taking credit for something they didn't do.
Oh, yes. Does the first name begin with the letter R?
No.
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 Okay.
No.
Interesting.
Who begins with an R? The individual we were talking about earlier? Really?
No, not we have not discussed this person today.
We have in the past.
I think his name probably came up.
Probably. Ooh, our post game is going to be just as great as our pre-game and this show. Ooh. When we part ways, I will send this video your way.
All right.
It's a funny video. It's not actually like mean and malevolent. It's more like it's comedic.
Yeah.
But I think to the untrained ear, it would just go simply past them. That's not a knock if you don't get it. You'll get.
Yeah.
I think you'll get it. Taking credit for where it's not theirs.
Yeah. Never cool. That is never a cool thing.
But I'm glad to hear that talent was not poached upon. Like they would never try to snag you to do, another project.
Right.
They left you in the bad office.
Now, that's not to say that Marvel and DC didn't try to poach talent from each other, because they definitely did.
Oh God, yeah, that's well documented. They, if you had sales on one, the other would try to snag you.
Right.
And at that time, DC was, Marvel was number one, right? And DC was kind of at that two, with Image coming in hot. And now I think by this point, when Barry left the book, which was 96, I think the steam had, Image was still hot, but not as hot.
Right. Well, nothing was as hot by then.
No, and probably never will again.
Probably not.
Marvel will always be Coca-Cola. DC will always be Pepsi. And Image was like that Dr. Pepper, like when it debuted, right? Just kind of just hot, and everyone loved it. And that's not a knock on Dr. Pepper because I love it.
Yeah, for sure.
You worked for Marvel after Azrael when you freelanced, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get your timeline right.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
That'll come later. All right.
I think I may have done, in fact, I did do one job for Marvel beforehand, and I don't recall exactly where it was in my personal timeline, but there was a kind of horror title called Nightbreed.
Oh, the
Clive
old
Barker.
Clive Barker. The old Clive
Yeah,
Barker.
yeah, and I worked on an issue of Nightbreed one time, um, and that was sort of similar to the cover of Azrael #3, although to an even greater extent. I got a chance to do that book, and I did my best, but I was not ready for that assignment, and you know, I was not happy with the result, and I don't know. I'm not sure anybody else was happy with it as well, because I just wasn't ready at that time. But so I did do some work for Marvel beforehand.
And X-Men, that Beast story, that Beast
Oh
comic,
yeah,
that came
yeah.
before Azrael. I know that because I saw. I think it
Oh
was
yeah.
October '94 or something like that. Because I knew Azrael was like '95. I was in third grade.
Wow.
We're going back in time there, and I
Yes.
go back and I look at number one. I think it's issue one. No, hold on. Crap. Yeah, '95. I was in third grade. That was when you're riding the bike to the drugstore. We didn't have a local comic book shop where I grew up in Massachusetts. We did not. So that I
Uh,
had to make special trips for. That didn't start till after I got my license. So
uh,
a lot of my comic collecting came a little later. It was just like odds and ends.
right.
No, I'm sorry. It was issue 6 that I always remembered. The Lazarus Pit issue.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Great book. Great. You got to play with Ra's al Ghul.
yeah.
Um, but that's one of the reasons I always remembered it.
Ah, yes, of course.
Yeah, that's '95. So like I see that, I instantly go back to that, third grade classroom. Couldn't
Sure.
draw to save my soul, but I always wanted to write. Hey,
Well, whatever way that we express ourselves is a good thing.
as long as it's not harmful.
Well, yes, yes, yeah, absolutely. Long as do no harm, right?
No
First, do no
harm.
harm. That's
First
that's my
rule.
motto. That's my motto for art restoration. First, do no harm.
First, do no harm. It's also, isn't that the first rule of Asimov with the robots?
Um,
Do
the
not harm a
first,
human.
yeah, the first, yeah, was that the first law? Um, that must be the first law, and then the second law is what, self-preservation,
Self-preservation, I
and what
think.
was the third law?
It's not like you can't disobey your
Right, you must obey a human command or something like that.
yeah. Someday we'll see that in our life.
Yeah,
Someday.
yeah.
Uh yeah, that was third grade, 1995, when I first met Jean Paul. I was late to the party of Batman getting his back broken,
Ah, okay,
and ended up seeing it. I didn't read Sword of Azrael until high school.
okay.
So I didn't read Azrael monthly. I got it like when I could,
Right.
and if I was lucky. Does that make any sense to you? You know what I'm talking about? Like,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
drugstore, the spinner rack. We still have that in the '90s, but I
Right.
could very, very rarely ride my bike all the way into Connecticut, which had the nearest comic book shop, which was like 20 minutes from me, because I didn't know about the big one until Worcester. And if I rode my bike into Worcester, Mass, I don't think that would have. I don't
Worked
think
out
that would.
well.
I don't think it would have worked out well. Hell, I
Yeah,
wouldn't even try it now.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I certainly, my comics reading as a kid was before direct comic shop sales. So the only comics I had access to were spinner racks in the 7-Eleven or, thrifty drugstore or someplace like that.
The old newsstand editions.
Yep.
I got a few of those in Azrael's. I don't think any of the Barry run. Actually, I think I do. I think it's issue 14.
Ah.
Yes. Not direct sales.
Oh, yeah.
Marvel, it's clear as day because they had that Marvel logo.
Right.
But, we went everywhere with this episode.
But don't we always?
Yeah, but I'm going to put this in my personal favorites. We went everywhere. We covered Azrael like a map of Rhode Island. We just we went over it. I apologize if we did not go into it with a fine-tooth comb. But I feel like we did okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you have a favorite book from your run with Barry that you look back at? You mentioned issue 2 with the fire, 3 because of the cover. Is there one that sticks to you that also stays with you from now until the end of time?
It would probably either be issue 2 or the Joker issues.
Angel and Sin.
Yeah, the Arkham Asylum issues, because it was more than just Joker.
Oh, your Two-Face. The Two-Face was hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
The best was the ventriloquist.
Oh, yes, yes.
God, did I mess everything up while I've been doing this? I'm going to show that panel because that was a funny as hell panel. When he enters the asylum and he's just the chin, actually. It was his chin.
Right.
Also, Jean Paul asking Bruce for permission and Bruce threatening him.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Is that the double page spread?
Yeah, the double spread. Is that one of those you get on your table and you just go, this is going to be a fun day. This is going to be a fun night.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, I always try to do my best, but there are some that light my fire a little bit more.
Surprised to see us in our glad rags, Bucko? New policy, our new policy. You really ought to hide things better.
Yes.
I can't. Angel Insane is probably my favorite from you and Barry's run. Like I said, you got his Joker is just fantastic. And then you get Jean.
Really fun to work on. Yeah.
Do you wish it went more than 2 issues, or is it like the perfect self-contained 2 issues? Because I go, it was perfect.
Yeah, I think so too. There's always a tendency when something is good or you enjoy it to want to expand, but sometimes that's not the best idea. Sometimes it's better to not make Alien 3.
You're right. You're right.
Aliens, both incredible, fantastic. Let's do another one. No.
But when Dark Horse did that Aliens miniseries in the late 80s, that was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Don't know if you ever read that.
Is that the Superman versus Alien or?
No. It was just Aliens.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's cool.
I probably read it.
It's about Hicks and Newt.
Ah, okay. Maybe I can read it then.
And then Yeah, Alien 3, man, I'm with you. Alien 3, I mean, it's not Resurrection bad, but Resurrection's just funny.
Yeah, yeah,
3 is like 3 is up there as like one of those. Wow, you're right. I love the Alien 3 reference too. That made me laugh. Come on, Alien 3. It's like you want it to be good.
and it just wasn't.
It just wasn't. And
No,
there's nothing redeemable about Alien 3.
yeah,
I heard a story about Alien 3
yeah,
where they being 20th century, they had created a chest burster for Michael Biehn as Hicks
uh,
to explain the crash and all that. And
yeah,
he got pissed that they were going to use his likeness without his consent and all that. Long
huh,
story short, if you remember Alien 3 where it starts with the crash
yeah,
and it shows Newt's picture and then it shows Hicks deceased and you just see him all mangled.
right,
He got paid as much as he got paid for Aliens just for
real,
that one photograph of him in that monitor.
wow. Well, good for him.
Good for Michael Biehn.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I don't know if you've ever read the Superman Aliens miniseries.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But that was some really nice artwork too.
Yes. Out of all those, and I'm glad that in 2024 there's going to be room for the Marvel DC crossovers, and somewhere on a big omnibus that's coming out of all the trades, your name's going to be there.
Excellent.
It's got to be.
Yeah,
It's got to be.
yeah,
So they got to call you up, and hopefully the royalty check. Jim Lee's doing the cover, and on it is Batman and Wolverine, and like it's this big battle royale, and
wow.
Asbat should be there if you want to be totally correct.
I would think.
He should. There in the cover with those claws. Hey, talk to me quickly about Mike
Yeah,
Magnolia's influence on you guys when you were working. You had said that pregame. Talk to me
yeah.
a little bit about that. You guys obviously were fans of Mike Magnolia, but also Hellboy. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, Mike is I don't know him personally, but so I call him Mike. So sometimes we read these books and look at artwork by people, by creators, and call them by their first name like we know them, but sometimes it feels like we do,
Yeah. Well, their
even
name
if
is right there on the credit.
yeah, yeah, sometimes it just feels that way. But anyway, so I'll call him Mike. Uh, uh, Mike's a tremendous artist, and I love the way his work has evolved so dramatically over the years.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, his style that he had adopted by the time he was doing Hellboy was so different from everything that he had done in the years before. He was always a good artist, but man, he's just found his thing, and I appreciate his work very much. I've tried to learn from looking at his work, and I suspect that Barry and Roger would both say the same thing, that that they were influenced in particular by Mike's use of light and shadow to create design elements on a page, and yeah, I can't say enough about the guy. He's been certainly a big influence on me, and I know the other two guys as well.
Are you a fan of Hellboy? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
huge. Yeah.
Did you ever read um, um, Hellboy? I think it's the Wolves of Saint Augustine.
Mm,
It was in Dark Horse Presents, that
yeah.
anthology title.
Right.
So it's all in black and white.
Yeah. I love Dark Horse Presents. That was a great book.
What a great book.
Yeah. I just recently did what I think is a really cool Hellboy drawing, and I would show it to you, but I'm not allowed to show it in public yet.
I understand. Second you can, I got to see it though.
Okay.
It's your Hellboy?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Oh,
was happy with how it came out.
oh, yeah, I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to see the fourth movie too. I'll say that about Hellboy.
Yeah. Yeah. Bring them on. I've liked all of them.
Jury's out. I want to see how it turns out.
Yeah.
When will you be able to show that?
Um, I did it for this guy who sells mystery boxes. If you're familiar with the concept,
I am.
where he offers mystery boxes, and inside is a piece of artwork, maybe a couple of comics, and some other miscellaneous kind of collectible stuff. And um, he commissioned me to be the sort of spotlight artist for a certain round of his mystery boxes, and I did like 28 pieces for him. So think I think that's all going to be coming out in either August or September. Uh, but I'm literally contractually obligated not to show anything in public until then.
I understand. I know how
Yeah,
the red tape works, but where
yeah,
I'll be looking at that August or September.
yeah,
That's cool. Your Hellboy.
yeah. Love doing Hellboy. Really fun to draw.
Can't show anything, but can you answer one question?
Probably.
Horns or no horns?
Sawed off horns.
That's all I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've done them with the full horns.
Yeah, where he's all in hell, just
Right,
that.
right. The full horns and the sword.
Oh,
Yeah,
Hellboy.
right.
Ron Perlman, the voice of Hellboy. Do you hear that voice when you're working on him or reading him?
Yeah, pretty much. I think he's right there.
He is the voice of Hellboy.
He
I got to
is.
put Perlman up there with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and Kevin
Yeah,
Conroy's voice as Batman.
yeah,
Tough
yeah.
acts to follow.
Yep, very tough.
Hellboy. Azrael, WNBA, conventions. We covered it all tonight, my friend.
If not, I don't know what we missed.
We missed a few things. I mean, we didn't talk about Titanic. We didn't talk about, there's so many things that we could dive into, but
Right.
we covered it all pretty good.
Yeah.
Before we part ways, because it is getting quite late, and I know you've got a lot of things on your plate coming up. What is next? Well, you got a convention coming up, I saw, or anything besides San Diego that you're attending?
Yeah, I'll be at the Silver Age Con, which is in Reno, Nevada, about mid-July.
Mini
But
Vegas.
yeah, in Vegas, exactly. So that'll be my first appearance there. So I'm looking forward to checking that out. And then a couple of weeks after that, I'll be in San Diego.
Reno, is that going to be 1 day or a 2 day show, 3 days?
That's a 2-day show.
A weekend, Saturday into Sunday?
Yeah, yeah.
A weekend in Reno. That sounds pretty cool.
A weekend in Reno sounds like a bad movie.
That does sound like a bad 80s movie.
Yes, what could go wrong?
That's cool. I've got nothing lined up. Go ahead.
Hey, speaking of movies, I always like to give you movie recommendations.
Please.
Saw a good one last week. It's called The Imitation Game.
Imitation Game with Cumberbatch?
With Cumberbatch, yeah, playing Alan Turing.
Yeah, he's that like decoder, right, during World War II.
Right.
But he's hiding. He's hiding his true nature.
Right.
He's hiding his homosexuality.
Right.
With them, and that's a very good movie.
It's a really good movie. Great performances, and it's really thought provoking. I mean, here's a guy who was so far ahead of his time.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he literally invented the computer, right? If you think about it, but couldn't do anything with it, as far as financially, because he was working for the British government during wartime.
Yeah.
and ended up in tragic circumstances. But really, really good movie.
Very good movie.
Yeah.
I have no suggestions. I know we talked about doing Batman. I haven't really watched anything, in all honesty. The
Yeah.
only thing that I was thinking about watching coming up was that review, that Kolchak episode that
Oh
I
yeah,
sent you the review of, and
yeah.
that got me thinking for a second, where it was like, what if I/we reviewed an episode of a TV series? Then like then it's like opening Pandora's box. Do you do all the episodes, or can you
Right.
just pick and choose? And I was sort of like, I literally had this like Moon Knight conversation with myself. I'm like, well, who the hell would care? People will understand. But I was thinking about that. Maybe that might interest you if you want to do Horror in the Heights.
I'm always up for Kolchak.
It's Kolchak.
Yeah. No more need be said, right?
Kolchak, Horror in the Heights. We'll put it in our calendar. Hey, I keep this book with me all the time. It's around. It's going to
Nice.
be well loved. It's a problem. I can never have Richard Matheson sign it.
Yeah.
No, we got Batman coming up. I know Marilyn and I have talked about doing another Falcon, if you'd like to jump in on that. And hopefully Roger will join us for Azrael Part 2.
Yeah, I hope so too. That would be fun.
That's good. That's going to be fun. This was one of the most fun episodes I've done in a long time. So
Great.
thank you. Every one of them's fun, but going back to the comic origins for me,
Yeah.
because that's what this was in the beginning. I've said that
Right.
a zillion times. Bad for Your Health was a comic show, and then little did I know, I fancied myself as a poor man's Robert Osborne. Hey, I thought I'd do all right with that. I
Well,
can't
I don't
think
know what.
enough. Go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
sure. I was gonna say, I don't know what the people watching and listening think, but it seems to me that a lot of the fun of this show is that you never know where we're going to veer off to next, right?
It's I don't consider myself a podcaster. I do not consider myself a YouTuber. I don't consider myself a content creator. Till somebody actually said it to me the other day, like, you're kind of a content creator. And I was like, I just end up talking to creative people who I admire and read their work, and I like their takes on certain things.
Right.
So by no stretch, I would say, but I do agree. The fun of this Bad for Your Health entertainment is, where is this going to go? Like, one week we talk about Azrael. The next week it's Tom Conway. The next week it could be
Right.
Kolchak. Hell, we could even do the WNBA episode one day.
Ooh.
I've got stories. I've met
Interesting.
people. I've met people. I am not just a comic movie guy. I have had numerous encounters with players and coaches of the WNBA.
Well, there's a lot to talk about there.
Oh, yes, there is. My Gino Auriemma story is one of my all-time favorites.
Ah. Yeah, I'm really curious to see who the Valkyries are going to get as their coach. I know I have my own personal kind of hope for.
Who is that?
That would be the Stanford coach,
Tara Vanderveer?
Tara Vanderveer, sorry.
Do you think she retired from Stanford to maybe make that jump to the pros? Do you think that's what she would really want at this stage in the game?
I don't know, but she's a damn good coach.
One of the best, if not
one
the
of the
best.
best ever. Yeah, one of the
You,
best ever, male or female.
you gotta, if you go in the female game, before we go to like the whole game, if you go female game, you gotta go no particular order. Vanderveer, Summit, Gino.
Yeah, I would say so.
You gotta put Kim Mulkey up there too if you're going Mount Rushmore.
Right.
And Don Staley. Who the hell am I with?
Oh,
Don
sure,
Staley.
sure.
As
Yeah.
much as I would have liked to have seen UConn and South Carolina this year again, I don't think UConn could have beat them.
Probably not.
I don't. I just don't.
Yeah, I wouldn't see that.
No. But Tara Vanderveer would be your pick.
Yeah.
Who do you think it will realistically be, though, in the event that she's not the head coach? You got to get someone with an identity to help bring people to the seats because they're playing where the Warriors play, correct?
Correct.
You can't get Derek Fisher because he failed.
Right.
He failed in the WNBA.
Yeah.
There's an abundance of coaches out there in the collegiate level that could make that jump. And there's somebody out there are a lot of good basketball-centric minds out there.
Yes. Clearly.
And I think the other franchise is what, Toronto?
I think so, yeah.
I don't even know if they revealed what that name is going to be.
If they have, and I haven't heard it.
And they'll play where the Raptors play. That'll create a geographical thing with the Liberty and Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
Golden State will have its thing with LA.
Right.
Phoenix is there.
We're not that far from Vegas either.
That's right. The Aces, defending world champs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. We could totally do a women's basketball episode. That I feel like would just... I've done sports themes episodes before, but they end up just becoming like speculative and,
right.
But they're fun as hell.
Yeah.
We got to put that in the queue. That's in the queue.
Yeah.
I'm all in for that.
Awesome.
Well, James, we've talked a long time tonight. It's been a very memorable conversation. Thank you again. Check out all his artwork on all the social media websites, Facebook, Instagram, your website, jamespascoe.net. Check what else we got for you. Are you doing any more of those signing that you did the mystery box thing?
Right.
You've done the sketches for that other channel. I'm not being blank on purpose. You've done the sketches for help me out.
For more than one, yeah.
Yeah.
Several.
Any of those coming up?
Not anything in the immediate future because I'm going to be really busy for about the next 3 months. But maybe after that.
Well, I hope we talk during the 3 months, but if we don't, I understand your plate is full. I
always have time for this show.
Thank you very much. That is the endorsement. I'm gonna put that cue as one of the reels, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
So we'll plan on Azrael number 2 maybe in July with Roger. I'll message him. I know we're on that group chat. I'll message him and we'll figure that out. Okay. And Batman, the 35th anniversary. I think that'd be a pretty good one. Diving back into Batman.
Yeah, definitely. That was
several other people have expressed interest in joining that. So that could turn into a Night Strangler episode.
Ooh.
That was a fun show.
That was a fun show, yes.
That was a fun show. You and I have always had a fun show. There's never been a bad show.
Well, I've always had fun anyway, so that's good.
That's what I like to hear. Thank you very much. For James Pascoe, I am Tom. Thank you again for everyone who watched and listened, and we will see you soon for the Batman 35th anniversary show. Good night, everybody.
Night.